The Abu Dhabi GP was supposed to be the GP where Perez would have used some help from his teammate Verstappen, who made some questionable moves in Brazil. The tension has never been higher at Red Bull, and between their fans, especially with Verstappen's mum getting involved in some personal matters and commenting about Perez cheating on his wife every night, then going to delete that comment. While many expected the relationship to be repaired following the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and Verstappen's assistance to his teammate, the Mexican has lost the battle in P2 and feels let down by his teammate yet again. So, what was Verstappen's move that triggered Perez? Looking for the perfect all-in-one platform to share your thoughts on Verstappen with the world? Then check out Squarespace to get your opinions out there. Red Bull had a perfect start to the race after qualifying in the first row for Sunday's event. In the first couple of laps, Perez was able to keep the advantage below 1 second and used the DRS on a couple of occasions against his teammate. Still, it seems like Verstappen chose to enter his own world again, just like he did throughout the 2022 season, and dust off in the empty space ahead of him, leaving Perez behind. But the Mexican had a very decent pace and was able to keep Leclerc behind him for the majority of the race. However, the tyre strategy was different between both Red Bull drivers, with Verstappen going for the one-stopper and Perez having to change tyres twice in order to remain competitive and battle Leclerc for P2. The Monegasque was able to catch the Mexican in the middle stint of the race, indicating that Perez needs to change his tyres if he wants to compete in the final stages. Leclerc opted out for the one-stopper, and this was a winning move that sealed the P2 spot in the Drivers' Championship. Although this wasn't nearly the result that Leclerc had hoped for at the beginning of the season, it's still a small win for the Maranello team as they're looking back to strike stronger in the 2023 season. So, how does Verstappen factor into the fate of his teammate Perez? Before we dive deeper into that, let me tell you how to create your very own F1 fan page. Squarespace is a website creation tool that can help you create the perfect blogging space and begin your own Formula 1 journalism career. The commenting tool lets you engage with your followers and get them involved in your content. Create conversation or controversy. Either way, your readers can use the share tool to get their friends involved as well. Using their analytics, you can see which articles are getting read the most and tailor your content to your audience. Maybe your content is so good, you think people should be paying for it. Squarespace can help there as well. You can create a members-only area and save your best content for subscribers, or accept donations through PayPal. The choice is yours. Check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch your site, go to squarespace.com/F1reverse to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Let's get back to Verstappen and his involvement in Perez's ruined race. Perez was only 2 seconds behind his teammate Verstappen during the race's middle stint. At this point, Leclerc was catching up to the Mexican, and Perez felt like Verstappen could have gone much faster in order to leave some clear air for him. Perez was still in the race because he was able to benefit from an undercut, which allowed him to cut a massive amount of seconds off Verstappen. But when Verstappen exited the track on the brand new hard tyres, with Perez already having a couple of laps on his hard compound tyres, it seemed like their pace was equally fast, and this is something that didn't sit right with Perez. The Mexican urged his team to tell Verstappen to speed up the pace due to the fact that he's not fast enough to pass him, and he cannot lift off because Leclerc is catching up to him. Therefore, Leclerc caught up to Perez pretty fast, and the Mexican was forced to pit for a second time, having a limited amount of laps to catch up to the Monegasque and eventually pass him in the ending stages of the race. The original prediction was that Perez would have caught Leclerc on the final lap of the race, giving him one clear lap and the P2 position. Still, backmarkers and the DRS that Leclerc was able to use on them have proved to be of a crucial essence, with the Monegasque being able to beat the Mexican by 1.3 seconds, and therefore obtain the P2 position in the Drivers' Championship. When talking about the situation in Abu Dhabi and about Verstappen's actions, Perez said, "I think it's how this sport really works. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. Ferrari and Charles did a fantastic race. They had great tyre management, and they were stronger than us, especially in that first stint. I died towards the end. That made it a little bit tricky with our strategy. In the second stint, when I was behind Max, who was on a 1 stop, I was on a 2. I ended up not being able to maximize this stint, and I couldn't push as much as we should have. But at the end of the day, we gave it our all, and that's what really matters. We were discussing switching to a 1 stop at some points, but tyre deck was higher than we thought it was going to be. It's also worth noting that Perez took nearly an entire lap to pass Hamilton, who was on much older tyres than the Mexican, and the Briton has essentially exacted his revenge on the Mexican for last year. In the same place here, just 1 year ago, Perez gained his nickname the Minister of Defense by being able to take 8 seconds out of Hamilton's lead on Verstappen and being a crucial part out of Verstappen's championship hopes. Now, the situation has been reversed, and at one point, many have asked why Verstappen isn't slowing down the tempo and therefore hold up Leclerc just so that Perez can catch up to him. After all, this is exactly what Perez did in 2021, but according to Verstappen, it would have been a very unfair move towards the Monegasque. Remember that when a situation about Verstappen letting Perez go in Mexico, if the Mexican was P2 at some point, was declined by the Dutchman due to the fact that he believed the fastest one should win. So what does Verstappen have to say about this situation? Apart from saying that the team never asked such a thing from him, he also added, "That is quite a tricky call to make. You also don't want to end up, of course you can possibly block, but I mean, is that fair racing? I think it's not the nicest way going out of the season like that." It looked like Checo was catching him enough to try and actually get a move. But then he lost quite a bit of time with that bit of fuss between Pierre and Alex. He lost quite a bit of time with that because I was watching that on the screens. When Perez was at just 2 seconds distance from Leclerc, he stumbled upon a fight between Gasly and Albon, and in just a matter of a couple of corners, Perez lost 1 second in the process of safely overlapping these drivers. According to Verstappen, Perez wasn't able to pass Leclerc because he was unable to complete a full push with the tyres, as the team believed the tyres required more nourishment and treatment at this point in the race. That second stint, because the deg was quite high on the medium, in hindsight, probably as a team, we could have pushed a bit more on that middle stint for Checo. But that's always easy to say afterwards. At the time, we thought that we had to be a little careful on the tyres. We've had a lot of great weekends, but even in great weekends, there are always things you can learn. With that being said, what do you think about Perez and Verstappen's race in Abu Dhabi? Do you think that Verstappen could have done more in order to help his teammate win the battle against Leclerc for P2? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.